welcome everybody. Today we're going to make a ginger lime watermelon salad. So hopefully those in the audience have the recipe and we will follow along. Can you hear me? Okay, I want to make sure people can hear me. It didn't seem very loud. We're good? Okay. So before we start any cooking, and even in our kitchen, we want to have nice clean countertops. You can't tell, but they are clean. I wiped everything down, and I am a messy cook. There you go, that's a lot better, thank you. I am a messy cook, so it's clean, it's just a little spread out. So I'm gonna wash my hands for food safety purposes, a little soap and water here before I begin. I can get the, what? Oh yeah, I think apparently a trick to this thing, so that's okay, we'll get it. So I'm gonna wash them really good, I'll dry them off, and then we'll get started. Go. Get them nice and dry. We're gonna go over our ingredients. Pull this off. There we go, we have a burner. I'm gonna turn that on to get water. The first thing I'm gonna do is gonna go over the ingredients. And then we'll start the cooking process. So we're going to use sugar. I just have some white granulated sugar in a bin. We're gonna have water, which I have right here. Lime zest, and the zest is the rind, and I actually washed the limes off underwater and used a vegetable brush to scrub it. If for some reason you can't find fresh limes, and I always talk about this because especially if you live in a rural area or with food shortages, you can't always find everything all the time. You can use lime juice and just leave out the zest, but if you can get your hands on a fresh lime, the zest does it, but I did wash them off prior to our demonstration with a vegetable brush. The other ingredients we're going to use is grated fresh ginger. Some folks have never seen fresh ginger, and again, depending where you live in the grocery store, this is what ginger looks like. I started peeling it. We're going to grate it up. If this is something you're unable to find in your grocery store, you can use the ginger that's prepared in the spice container. But if you can get your hands on fresh ginger, that would be great. You're also going to use watermelon. I have got some cubed up already, and then you're going to wash the outside of the watermelon before we cut it up, and I already did that. We're going to do a pint of blueberries, and again, for time's sake, I did pre-wash these. I patted them dry and stuck them back in the original container. The next ingredient you may or may not have seen. This is called jicama. It's spelled Jamaica, but it's pronounced jicama. It is a vegetable. It doesn't have a lot of flavor, and the texture is, I want to say potato-like, celery-like. It doesn't really have a flavor. It kind of takes on the flavor of the foods. This is an item that is very hard to find. I live in Lock Haven, and I could not find it in my store. Fortunately, I was in State College, and it is kind of a specialty item. If you cannot find jicama in your store, a good substitution would be water chestnuts, the kind that sometimes is found in Asian foods. I buy the can. I bought it just in case I couldn't find it. The jicama has a very similar texture. So if for some reason you're unable to find it, and some stores have canned jicama too. I wasn't able to find that either. But water chestnuts is a great substitution if you're unable to find it. So I was fortunate I was able to find it for a demonstration. We're also going to use a jalapeno, and I washed this again with a vegetable brush so it's nice and clean, only calls for one, and then fresh mint. There's hardly a substitute for mint. Again, it's hit or miss in your grocery stores as well. I did rinse it and patted it dry, so we're all ready to go. Okay, since I already washed my hands, I am going to put some gloves on, since those in the audience today are going to get to sample. Most of us wash our hands anyway, but we might not use gloves in our own kitchen. But for food safety purposes, I want to get an extra layer of protection here. So again, I did wash my hands, and we'll get the gloves up. So the first step is you want to use a stove pot. You're going to take a small saucepan, and I just heated it up. You're going to put it on there, and we're going to use 3 tablespoons of sugar and 3 tablespoons of water. Make sure this is my tablespoon. So I'm going to put the water in first, 3 tablespoons. And then 3 tablespoons of our granulated sugar. And you're going to let it boil for about 3 minutes till it gets thick. So I'm going to stir that up. And you want to do it till it's dissolved. So while I'm doing the rest, I want to keep an eye on it. So we're just going to stir it up. We're going to let it cook for approximately 3 minutes until it becomes dissolved and syrupy. Then we're going to remove it from the heat and let it sit for a couple minutes, and that's going to be our dressing for our salad. So the next thing we're going to do is, I have a big bowl here. The recipe actually calls for 6 cups of cubed watermelon. So I pre-prepped it. Again, I washed my watermelon off and then I cubed it. Here is 4 cups. So I'm just going to dump it into the bowl. But the recipe calls for 6, so I need a little bit more. So I have some pre-sliced watermelon here. I'm going to do it. And again, you can buy pre-cut watermelon in the store. It will be a little bit more expensive, but it is a convenience. So we're just going to cube that up. I just need 2 more cups to finish off our recipe. And again, this is boiling nicely. I'm just going to keep an eye on it and stirring while I do that. So we're going to cube this up here. So I just need 2 more cups. This is a great recipe for summertime. Watermelon has been in season a lot in the summer. Prices vary depending where you go, but this is a great recipe for the summer. You can also make this in the winter time as well, but watermelons tend to be a little bit more expensive that time of year, and they may not be as sweet as if you can get from the local. So that's about 2 more cups of watermelon. And again, this is a salad. So the one thing why I chose to do a salad today is the proportions are sort of important, but it's not like baking. Baking is a science. If it calls for a cup of flour, a half a teaspoon of baking, you have to be exact because baking is a science. This is a salad. You can throw stuff in and it works. And that's why I do a lot of salads. Again, I'm measuring here for you today. At home, I measure nothing. So that's the practical. But I always tell people too, you always want to, when I get a new recipe, I always make it as it is and then, again, do substitutions. Because I have one request, one woman does not like jalapeno. So I'm going to try to remember not to put the jalapeno and pull hers out. So again, if you're not jalapeno, you don't have to put it in. So we've got another minute on that. So we're going to put the watermelon and then we're going to throw the blueberries in there. And again, I pre-washed them and dried them off. So that's a pint of blueberries. And again, if you're short a few or if you have more, it's not going to mess up your salad recipe. And then we're going to put the jicama in. Now the jicama needs peeled. And so I am probably just going to, and again, it's hard like a potato. And we need 2 cups of this. So I'm going to cut it first. I'm not going to peel the whole thing because I'm not going to use the whole thing. So I'm going to cut it in half. And again, I also took this under running water and I used a vegetable brush. And you see me struggling. It's hard like a potato. So if you've never seen it, it's very similar. So I'm going to shut this off and we're going to let this sit. Let me get my heating pad. Hang on. I'm just going to remove it from the heat so it doesn't burn. We'll set it back there and hopefully I'll remember. So we're going to peel this. I'll do it as quickly as I can. Again, the skin is very much like a potato. Now the recipe calls for this to be julienned. Julienned is a very specific cut. It's thin slices. Again, I am not a professional chef and maybe you guys are, but we're just going to do our best. Julienne is basically nice thin slices. So we're going to need about 2 cups. So once I get it peeled, I'm going to slice it nice and thin, and we're just going to add it right to our recipe. So there we go. Peel it nice. I'll move my scraps over to the side. Okay, and again, juliennes is nice thin strips. I will do my best, but I need 2 cups of it. So I'm going to do my best here. And this is not quite julienne. A true julienne is a thin, almost matchstick. So I'll cut them as thin as I can. Again, this is for demonstration purposes. So, but like I said, if you can find jicama, I struggled in my area. The water chestnuts, you can buy them whole, chopped or sliced in a can. You just want to drain off the juice to put in there, and that will work as a great substitution. So I'm just going to slice it nice and thin to get it in there. Sorry if you hear me heavy breathing, it's hot up here. Nice thin. And I need 2 cups. Almost halfway there. So nice thin strips. And this is another recipe. If for some reason you can't find the jicama or you're not interested in substituting water chestnuts, you don't have to. I think it gives it a nice, crunchy, fresh taste. But again, sometimes you just have to go with the ingredients that you have at hand. And like the woman who asked me to say, please leave out the jalapeno, again, you can leave it out. And that's what I like about salads. If you're baking a cake and you leave out something that you don't like, it does not always come out the way you want. So we're almost done here. A couple more. Okay, a couple more slices. That's 2 cups, give or take. Measure that in there. We're going to just dump that in there as well. My pieces could be a little bit thinner, but. So our jicama is in there, the blueberries in there. We're going to do 2 tablespoons of chopped mint. The next ingredient, like I said, was the jalapeno. I'm going to save it for the end, pull her out so she can sample it. So with mint, again, I washed it nice and I patted it dry. We're just going to chop it as finely as I can. I'm using a knife, but you can also use a processor. Okay, so we're going to throw that in there too. And the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons. So here's my tablespoon. There's 1. We'll get a little bit more in there. That's about 2. There we go. Now the other ingredient we do need is we need 4 teaspoons of lime juice and a 1/4 teaspoon of lime zest. So we're going to work on the zest first. The zest is the outer part. I'm going to clear my path here, and I only need a little bit. Use a grater. Again, I only need a little tiny bit, so I'm going to grate that up. 1/4 teaspoon. A little bit more. You want to be careful with the grater. You don't get your fingers. You can see I'm being a little bit careful. Go get my. There we go. We're going to put that in there as well. And then the recipe calls for 4 teaspoons of lime juice. If you're using the fresh lime, which it makes sense for us to do because we have it, best way to get the juice out is you kind of roll it, and that helps you. Now, I don't have a citrus juicer or anything like that, so we're going to kind of do it, going to lose my thing, old-fashioned way. You just roll it, it gets the juice out. I'm going to cut it. There's no seeds in this lime, like lemons. So we need 4 teaspoons. That's my tablespoon. Lost my teaspoon here. Yeah. There we go. Now again, if it had seeds, I would do it over another bowl so I don't have to pick the seeds out, but this is seed. So we're going to squeeze, and we need 4 of these in here. Oops, open in there. There's 1. And I like lime, so if I get a little bit extra in there, and this is another ingredient, it doesn't have to be exactly. If you get a little bit extra, you'll be absolutely fine. There we go. Perfect. Now again, if you couldn't find a fresh lime or didn't have it, you can buy lime juice. Lemon juice works just as well. If you can get the zest, buy the fresh lemon or lime. That just gives it a little extra flavor in there. And let's see, I've got my thing in lemon zest. Ginger, next ingredient. We need 3/4 teaspoon. Now again, your ginger, if you get fresh ginger, should be peeled, and I peeled it. You're also going to use your grater. And I'm going to see if I get a little bowl here. We're going to grate it nice and fine. And again, this is one of those things, it's a hit or miss at the grocery store. I didn't think I was going to be able to find it in my local grocery store in Lock Haven, but I did. Again, if you're unable to find it, you can use the powdered ginger in the spice aisle as well. So we're just going to grate it. And again, when you're using your grater, you want to watch your fingers so you don't get anything more than the ginger in the bowl. This there. And if you've ever, it smells good. Love fresh ginger. There we go. That's about it. Put that in there as well. A little bit of fresh ginger. Okay, so we'll just recoup. We've got our sugar water cooling over there. We're going to use the lemon zest, the grated lemon, the fresh ginger, everything in there, and we are going to top it with this. I want to make sure it's just about cool. And then I'm going to take some out, and then we're going to put the jalapeno in there. So, like that. And this is very little. Again, there's not a lot of dressing on it. It just gives a little sweetness. We're going to toss this. Whoop, lost a blueberry there. Lost another blueberry. Need bigger bowls. Okay, so let me get this woman's out so she gets to sample it. Okay. And so for our jalapeno, like I said, I washed it. I'm going to chop it finely. The heat comes from the seeds. So I'm going to definitely take the seeds out, and we're going to finely chop it and add it to our salad. And so I'm cutting it, and I'm taking the seeds out of the center. And it just gives a little bit of kick. So we've got our pepper, we've de-seeded it, and the recipe calls for 1 jalapeno. And this is about an average size, so we're going to do it. I'm just going to finely slice it and put it in there, and we're going to add it to our salad. This is, again, a great summertime meal. If you make the recipe as is, a serving size is 2 cups, and you would serve 5 people. So I'm just cutting this jalapeno as small as I can get it here. If you do have a food processor and you like it small, you could easily do that as well. So I'm going to put that in there. And we're going to use the whole jalapeno, which really isn't a lot for this. Again, that's 6 cups of watermelon in there. So thank you. So nice and fine. Again, if you don't like spicy, and again, this is not going to add a lot of heat because there is so much watermelon, and especially since we took the seeds out, it's not going to be super peppery. Put that in there and give it a good mix. And there you have our ginger lime watermelon salad.